Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. My name is Chad. Take a dive for world sports. Welcome to the NFL Playoff Conference Championship recap and reaction video. We'll go over the past two games that happened this past Sunday, determine who will lift the George Halas and Lamar Hunt Trophies to represent the NFC, AFC in the upcoming Super Bowl in 2 weeks. How did I fare? Were my picks correct? Did Joe Cool walked into Burrowhead and walked out? Or does the Magician of the Prairie pull out another one? Does the Mr. Cinderella of Mr. Irrelevant continue? Or do the Eagles fly? And it hurts so good. We'll recap all the games and my reaction, but before diving into all that, if you could go ahead and give me a thumbs up, especially the content provider. Really pleases you two guys. It really help promote the channel out. You also subscribe. Love you guys reading my work, and I love you all for doing that. Not many subscribers. It costs you a dime. It helps me provide more time value for you. Well, let me just go ahead and start off with that. I was not surprised of the victors. I was surprised at how one of the games actually went. We only have 2 games to kind of pick, so you figure which one that one is. But I did not pick the winners. I stuck with the 49ers because that's who my preseason NFC champion was. And I stuck with them to the very end. But I told you I was not very confident in that one. And if you saw that game in Philadelphia, that was something else. So let's go ahead and kick that one off. The NFC Championship game. Our prayer fruit spoiled who won, in case you haven't watched the game yet. If you haven't, what's wrong with you? It's between the 49ers and the Eagles. Philadelphia is just a phenomenal team right now. The fact that 5 years ago they were in the same boat. Pretty much no one's left from that team 5 years ago. Doug Pearson was gone a couple years after that. Nick Foles was gone. Carson Wentz got traded. I mean, they completely blew up that team and rebuilt it in 5 years. They're back in the NFC Championship game under a second-year tenure. Jalen Hurts was overlooked, saying he can't throw. But they just built the team around him. And look what they did this season. He only lost 1 game this entire season, even though the Eagles lost 3 games total, but he didn't play 2 of those games. So you see how important Jalen Hurts is to this team and getting them to the point they're at now. And then you look at that defense, they couldn't stop the run, so what they get Dominic Sue to come in and help bolster the defensive line. And if you look at this game, you saw how the Eagles' offensive line, one of the best in the league, dominate the 49ers defensive front. They readjusted that line of scrimmage from, say, at the 5, and they'll push them back out to like the 8-yard line. That's how much these guys were just pushing all of them away. And then the 49ers defense just looked lost because they didn't know who to go after, because Jalen Hurts is a threat on the ground. So you got, keep a couple of guys with him because he's hard to tackle, but then with the offensive line creating these huge holes allows the running backs to have a field day. And that 49ers offensive front was having havoc trying to contain that Eagles offense. Now, one of the things that kind of helped this game turn out the way it did was the fact that the Eagles defense became predatory. On the 6th offensive play for the 49ers, they took out Brock Purdy. Later revealed that he had a sprained UCL in his elbow, which which affects his throwing ability. So they couldn't throw. So he was pretty much questionable to come back. So then comes Josh Johnson. But he also got injured. Now we go into the fourth straight quarterback. The 49ers offense took a complete different turn in terms of that aspect. I mean, beginning of the game, it was pretty close. I think it was like 7-7 at one point. But in the third quarter, Johnson was ruled out due to concussion, which means Purdy had to come back in, and they abandoned the pass. They went nothing but run, which is good because you have a good defensive line like a Trent Williams and then McCaffrey in the backfield. Should be all right, but the Eagles' front was just way, way too much. And it was a horrible spot that the 49ers found themselves in. They just could not continue to make good plays after losing Brock Purdy. It was just a one-sided affair. Because after, that first half, when it was only 21-7, so Philadelphia had a lead, but somewhat manageable for the 49ers to come back, but it didn't really matter because it was, once they lost Brock Purdy, it was pretty much a downhill aspect for that one. Because he only threw for those 4 passes. Of course, he only had 6 offensive drives in the beginning of the game. Johns was able to lead them to a touchdown thanks to Christian McCaffrey having 84 yards on the ground and a touchdown. But Miles Sanders and the rest of the Eagles' rushing attack had over almost 150 yards total with 4 touchdowns as the Eagles just dominated that line of scrimmage. As I said earlier, they pushed the defensive front 3-4 yards away from initial point of attack. And when you can dominate a line like that, it makes the job of the quarterback so much easier. I could run those gaps. And I'm probably good for about 2 yards before I fall over losing my breath. The 49ers had no answer how to deal with this. And no scheme to kind of counter this, to figure out, how do we stop this? And it was just a steamrolling effect as Philadelphia, 5 years removed from their miraculous run to the Super Bowl, repeated as NFC champions, crushing the 49ers 31-7, back to the Super Bowl once again in 5 years' time frame. Y'all remember that one, the Philly special, where Nick Foles caught, the game, pretty much the game-winning touchdown against the Patriots. And we'll kind of see this is their 4th Super Bowl in Eagles franchise history. They're 1-2 right now. We'll kind of see how this one pans out later on, but we'll kind of see if they can even it up and get to 500. And the 49ers back-to-back NFC Championship bids failed to reach the Super Bowl both time frames. This is definitely a team that's still positioned to be a dominant force in the NFC, regardless who the quarterback is, whether it be Trey Lance. I believe Jimmy G probably would be gone. Brock Purdy definitely submitted himself as a good backup, if not a starter. So it's going to probably be a quarterback controversy coming next season for the 49ers. But to have 2 quarterbacks back there to battle it out really puts your offense in a good position. To talk for another time. Now let's head over to the AFC, and this is a showdown that's repeating itself time and time again. This was last year's AFC Championship game, in which the Bengals came to town and beat them. The Bengals are like 400 days is like the 4th meeting. It's something weird, and the first 3 has all been Cincinnati. It's all been low-scoring games to begin with. So I was figuring it was another low-scoring game. I figured it was a game-winning field goal. And kind of the reason why I went Cincinnati is kind of the mindset that got going in there. Burrow has he's all the confidence in the world. I mean, he's shown it constantly. But the thing I looked at was Mahomes' ankle sprain. He's not 100%. Come to find out, Kelsey was not 100%. He actually had a little back injury in practice, and he was able to finally start. And he was lucky that that didn't re-aggravate. A few other injuries here and there that kind of mentioned things coming out. So I know the receiving core for the 49ers, or not 49ers, the Chiefs kept getting thin. And Patrick Mahomes ended up throwing to like the 10 different receivers, which he's been doing all season long, because everyone thought without Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs' offense is dead. It changes aspect. It doesn't really have that true deep threat that Tyreek Hill presented. I mean, even though Marquise Valdes-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster are not quite as a deep threat as Tyreek Hill is, but they're still very quality receivers to have. And then, you still got Pacquiao and McKinnon in the backfield that also come out with receivers. So you get that aspect. Of course, you got Travis Kelce, his favorite target all throughout. Actually, Marquez was had the most yardage of the receiving core. But what really set the pace in this game is the Chiefs' defense. They got after Joe Burrow often. It wasn't even a close contest that came to that one. They were looking at making a statement, ensuring that Joe Burrow realized where he was at. He wasn't at Burrowhead. He was at Arrowhead. 4 sacks in that first half really dictate everything, and the stat popped up that when Joe Burrow has 4 more sacks, they lose a lot. It was like a 4-11-1 was like the stat line. I was like, ooh. I mean, there was a game that they played against the Titans where he got sacked 9 times. 9. And he still won. So I wasn't paying too much attention to that. But at the end of that first half, they actually adjusted protection and protected Burrow a little bit better. And he was able to lead a drive, give him some points on the board to go down 13-6 at a half. And I was like, this is pretty much what normally most of these games go on. Chiefs take the lead in the first, and the Bengals keep storming back. How true some of that really is then Burrow's able to find T. Higgins for a nice touchdown to tie up the game. And, of course, then the Chiefs marched down, and he hit Mahomes hit Valdes-Scantling for a touchdown, putting them back in the lead. Then once again, the Bengals went down on a 4th and 6, threw a bomb in double coverage to Jamar Chase, which then set up a Joe Mixon touchdown run, tied the game up again, once again at 20 apiece. And less than a minute left. The Chiefs once again had the ball. Actually, I think it was like 50 seconds. And I was like, okay, this is probably going to go to overtime. And next thing I know, Chiefs are marched down the field. Patrick Mahomes, who did not run outside the line of scrimmage pretty much all day, busted out part the most important run of the day, 5-yard scamper. And then, unfortunately, the attacked with a 15-yard roughing call, getting a hit out of bounds. And that wasn't much by Joseph Asai, but it moved the Chiefs 15 yards closer, 8 seconds left. He looked like he hyperextended his knee. I saw the replay, and his foot planted. His body continued. That little part of his leg, knee down, stayed. So that looked a little painful, but he was able to kind of get up on a little assistance. But set up the Buckner with a nice 45-yard field goal. Kicked it. That was it. The Chiefs head back to the Super Bowl, knocking off Cincinnati 23-20. Getting rid of that stigma they had. I mean, there was so much trash talking. Mayor Cincinnati put his foot in his mouth on this one. Travis Kelce actually let him know that. I'm not going to repeat what the mayor said and what Travis Kelce said, and there's quite a few things floating out there, especially watch the Get Up. They actually cover that one. Normally mayors kind of go, hey, issue out a challenge, and then, hey, Kansas City barbecue for, whatever the staple food dish for Cincinnati is. I'm not too familiar with that. Things like a chili or something, something like that. And, put those, meals on the line. It's bragging rights. No, Cincinnati mayor had to go a little personal. And then hearing all the naysayers about how Cincinnati has Kansas City's number, Arrowhead is Burrowhead. It's just, I think Kansas City took that to heart, and they're like, okay, we got you, and they just played their game, slow, methodical. Patrick Mahomes took what he can get. It's hard to really defend a team that just throws the ball to pretty much anyone. I mean, yeah, Travis Kelce is his primary target. We all know that. But if Kelce is double teamed up, he finds other targets. I mean, he said that in the beginning of the season when Tyreek Hill left. It's like, sorry for fantasy football owners who's going to draft receivers here. I'm just going to throw it at anyone. So no one's going to have huge stats. So he lived to his word. He's like, Tyreek who? Tyreek at watching the Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl. Third time going back there. They've had 5 straight AFC championship appearances. This is their 3rd Super Bowl trip. They only have 1 title. I think the Chiefs really need to win this game, because this is a couple of games now. Team names for this bowl game, or Super Bowl, excuse me. It's the Andy Reid Bowl, because he spent 14 years coaching Philadelphia. Only made 1 Super Bowl. 10 years at Kansas City. This is his 3rd trip, and already has a ring to go with that as well. There's also the Kelce Bowl. That's right, the Kelce brothers we facing off in the Super Bowl. Now, likely they're all in the same, both offense. They won't be on the field at the exact same time. But Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce will be going head-to-head. So, a little fight going on in-house between the parents and the rest of the family. But these are 2 definite charismatic individuals, definitely for these organizations. And it's going to be an emotional win no matter who takes it. But Kelce is going to win a Super Bowl. I'll just put it that way. And for one of them, and it's going to be a 2nd ring for one of them. But there you go. Those are my recaps. Like I said, I picked both road teams. I lost both games. Was not surprised. I was not wholly confident on the 49ers pick. I just picked them because that's my preseason pick. I didn't want to go with the Eagles at the present point in time, even though deep down inside I figured they were going to win. And I figured whoever but I'll let you know that, I can't be perfect. I was doing quite well in these playoffs, only having 3 losses. So I was like feeling pretty confident, got a little cocky in myself. It felt like a little, maybe Joe Burrow. I was like, okay, I got this. And then, I got smacked. Like I said, you have all the right game plans you have in place until you get smacked in the mouth. And that's when things change. But let me know. Are you excited about this upcoming Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the Eagles? Do you think this is Jalen's time to shine and win a Super Bowl for Philadelphia? Or does Kansas City get a 2nd ring and Patrick Mahomes pretty much solidify his legendary status, which I think he already has? He is one of the most elite quarterbacks right now in the NFL. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Brady or Rodgers. I mean, those guys are a different level. But if Mahomes can win another Super Bowl, He's going to bypass Rodgers. I'm sorry, Aaron. I know you're a bit of a diva, but you only have that one ring. And Mahomes did it a lot quicker than you did. So if he definitely wins another one, I think he actually puts himself ahead of Rodgers. But we'll see more matchups between the Chiefs and Bengals throughout the year. So I think these two will be head-to-head quite a lot, especially if they're able to keep their teams together. But hey, just let me know down below who you think is going to win. I'm going to boil this thing over. I have another idea video coming up in between these games. Kind of do like a what if scenario. What if the NFL kind of changed the divisional setup? What would the playoffs look like? I'll get that video out next week. And then, well, actually probably later on this week and next week will probably be more of my Super Bowl aspect as we start getting more and more details about, who's able to play for the Super Bowl and kind of change, how I figure kind of go. I already have an inclination where I'm going to go. I'm not teasing that yet. But just let me know down below who you think. Are you excited for the Super Bowl? And while you're down there, make sure you share this video with your friends and family. It helps put the channel out. You can also hit that thumbs up once again. Once you subscribe, make sure you click that bell icon and turn on notifications. Let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.